All right, welcome to today's episode of Power Moves, the podcast that not only introduces you to successful entrepreneurs, but really gives you insight into what they did to become successful. I'm your host, Alex Edwards, and today we have a very special guest, someone that I've worked with for a year and a half now, Miss Chelsea Keller, who has many nicknames, and we jokingly exchange them. But she is the sponsorship leader for Modern Day Wife and one of only two people to create significant success in a fully commission based role at this organization. We'll be talking about that. But since joining the company and us working together, what I've absolutely loved working with Chelsea about is just seeing her consistent increase in sponsorship revenue through a combination of her outreach, her relentless follow up, her consultative selling, and relationship building. So today is a very special episode where we'll talk about sales, prospecting, booking appointments, really the mindset and living the life in this role. Hello, Chelsea.
Hi, Alex.
Great to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I've been trying to move around this icon on my face. I don't know if there's anything that
You are seeing things. There is no icon on your face. There's
Okay,
no
so
fly on
okay.
your face, no bug. You're
Okay,
good.
we're good. We're
Yes,
good. Okay, great. I'm new
you
to
are
Riverside.
pristine. Welcome to the Riverside.
It's so great to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
So,
having me.
Chelsea, your background didn't start in what one would say traditional sales before you got here. So, could you, for the audience, give some backstory?
I'd love to. My story's quite eclectic. I and I think that's a really great way to describe myself as well. I went to school, I studied business for a few years, but I never finished that. I ended up going to broadcasting school and studying sports media broadcasting. I got a diploma in television and radio broadcasting. And at the same time, I was working in hospitality, and I'd worked in hospitality for what is now 20 years. And I worked in fine dining, I worked in bars, restaurants. So I had always worked around people.
Hmm.
And then I also did a stint in the fashion space. And that was actually one of the last industries that I worked in was luxury resale. And I loved it. I
Hmm.
absolutely loved it. But what I didn't love about it was spending over 40 hours, if not 60 hours at the same store, same brick and mortar, and spending, very little time at home.
Hmm.
So, with, of course, what happened with the pandemic, there was this whole movement towards spending more time at home, working remotely, and that really appealed to me. So I got to a point where I decided to step back from the luxury consignment space and just be jobless for a moment while I figure things out. I had dipped my toes in, a lot of education. I had this degree in broadcasting. I'd worked in a newsroom. I'd spent so many years working in hospitality. And I just was at a place where I guess you could say that I was at a standstill. Like I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of millennials can relate. We all got degrees. We were all told to be something. And we kind of got to this place. A lot of us have gotten to a place where there's a bit of like a what the hell am I doing, right?
Sure.
And so I decided to take the risk of just not doing something that I didn't love and just sit in reflection. And reflection didn't last too long because I ended up taking a course with Google on digital marketing. I recognized that things were progressing digitally, and if I didn't start getting acquainted with technology, that I was going to fall really far behind. So during that period, I was studying digital marketing, and one day, one of my good friends, Chelsea Burwash, who I had met within the resale industry, she was coming to visit me at the store. She's like, "Hey, do you would you be open to helping me put together a fashion show? And I was like,
Mm,
well, that can't be a bad idea. It's not like I got too much going on, right?
mm,
So I asked her what that would entail, and she said that she was working with Modern Day Wife. This is a company that she had formerly worked with. They produce luxury events across the US, and they were coming to Vancouver to produce one of their events. And I guess I'm kind of going on here, and I'm giving you a little bit more backstory than what you had originally asked. But this is pretty much how everything came to be and how I got
sure.
involved with Modern Day Wife. So all this to say that I ended up helping Chelsea curate the fashion show segment, which is a segment part of a Modern Day Wife event. But greater than that, we ended up selling the whole event together.
Wow.
And, Chelsea was my mentor and she held my hand and showed me the ways and taught me how to do calls virtually and how to get clients to sign on as partners. And it was a huge success. And I think
Wow.
most importantly, it was great to meet the founders, Megan and Megan, and it was really incredible how we just all got along. And after that event, I wasn't able to get away.
Mhm.
Megan, our co-founder, was like, "I hope you know you'll be working with us full time now."
It's a
So
very forward job offer.
I know, I know. And that's how that came to be. So that's my background, and that's
Wow.
also a quick synopsis into how I became a brand partnerships sponsorship manager at Modern Day Wife.
Love it. And I feel like this would be a lost opportunity to just highlight one of the very interesting aspects of Modern Day Wife, which is there are two Chelseas you did not hear an echo, and there are two Megans you did not hear an echo. Moving on, I just had to make sure that was known.
Yes, that is in fact MC squared. M
Wow.
squared C squared.
Okay. After the show, I'll need to take a moment so I can fully appreciate what you just did. But we'll move on.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. Now, with the fashion show, did you say that you also participated in selling it out, or were you merely on the production side of things?
I actually wasn't on the production side of things. Chelsea was asked to find sponsors for the fashion show,
Mm,
and she is a full-time mom and selling as anyone who has ever dipped their toe in the selling space, it is a full-time gig. It requires a full commitment. It is a job that is, 24 hours around the clock, whether that's with outreach, whether that is follow-ups, building relationships with clients. It's not the kind of thing that you can kind of do halfway.
mm,
So that is why she extended this olive branch and she asked for my help. And she knew that because I had worked in luxury resale, that I knew a lot of people, in the fashion space, and that I could also probably get that store and that brand on board as well as an initial sponsor as we book out and sell out the fashion show.
okay. Wow. So you kind of just jumped both feet in then.
Pretty much.
Wow.
I started off, thinking that we were just selling the fashion show, and then next thing I know, I'm having calls with a candle brand.
Wow.
And next thing I know, I'm having calls with a supplement brand.
Sure.
And at Modern Day Wife, at our events, we focus on all brands that cater to the modern day woman and that fall within a lifestyle umbrella. So anything that is beauty related,
Hmm.
lifestyle related, business related, wellness related, health related. So all of
Right.
these things that a modern day woman would need to, operate on the daily or even just operate from her highest self. So
Right.
it kind of just, like I said, I always tell people that if I were to take all of my past experience, all of my life experience and put it into a blender, the product that would come out of said blender would be my current position at Modern Day Wife.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Chelsea, one thing that I've seen as I've worked with many companies that employ commission only salespeople, you are commission only, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So, one of the challenges I've run into with working with founders is they have a hard time motivating people on commission only, or even sometimes recruiting and attracting people that are commission only. You were, as you described, in an interesting place with yourself, career wise, professional wise. You did this really as like, hey, why not? I have nothing going on. And that opportunity just completely enveloped you into it. But I guess what was it like? Why is it that you didn't necessarily run away when you heard commission only? Why is it that you decided to stick with it? Because it can be a brutal setup.
It's a very good question, and I love how you framed that question, by the way. Um,
Thank you.
a lot of people don't get into this job because they expect immediate return. And this isn't an hourly wage, and I did not make money right away. However, what I saw within the company was a future. I saw a future, and I strongly believed in the mission. And I had such a different experience working this job, and it was like no other job that I had ever worked, that I was willing to take the risk. Now, maybe it has something to do with my personality. I am not the kind of person that holds on to money very tightly. It could be my biggest asset, but at the same time, my biggest liability.
Sure.
And the way that I actually saw it was, well, I could spend the money that I don't have and go back to school, right? Which is an investment. And once I get out of school, I could potentially get a better job.
Hmm.
But I wasn't in any space to go back to school. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to invest money that, again, I don't have. And I'm going to do it with Modern Day Wife. So my first year, if not two, I totally lived off a line of credit because I
Hmm.
saw it as, instead of going to school, I'm just going to do Modern Day Wife, but I'm going to invest in myself. I'm not going to invest into uh, an institution. I'm investing in the institution of Chelsea Keller,
Right.
and I'm going to educate myself and work my way from the bottom up and do
Hmm.
it on my own terms under the guidance of two people that I really look up to, three people, including
Hmm.
Megan, and Chelsea. And
Totally.
a lot of that was, yes, I learned a lot from them. I learned so much from Chelsea. She paved the way for me. She took me under her wing. But what that also meant was I had to commit to, a daily routine of learning brand activations, learning and what those are and what those meant, learning how to write an email properly. And
Hmm.
a lot of things took a lot of time. I never got, the quick formula to all of these items, but it was in that process that I learned everything that I know today. Like in the beginning, I would find the worst leads. Okay. Worst leads. I had no idea what, our ideal client would be.
Hmm.
Somebody coming to a Modern Day Wife event, they'll come into the event and they'll think, oh my God, well, Fenty Beauty would be great here, or Rhode or L'Oreal. But
Hmm.
to find the decision maker behind those brands, it is like finding a needle out of a haystack. And so I would email the partnerships team, or I would email customer service thinking that, and write these, send these pitches. And I would send like, I thought that I would get away with 10 emails and that they would book a call with me. It would make sense. Why wouldn't they? But these people are getting the same kind of email, every minute. They're probably getting
Hmm.
100 emails every 10 minutes, right?
Hmm.
So, what I'm saying with that is you can come in very optimistic, think that you know what you're doing, and slowly realize that no, this is a really big game.
Hmm.
And it does require a lot of work and a lot of understanding, but most importantly, it requires a lot of failure and it
Sure.
requires a lot of rejection.
Sure.
So I was actually so you know me very well, right? We have the best chats and we talk about people that are in the sales space because yeah, and it's the best thing, right? It's like
Totally.
we have to consistently educate and see and look at the people that are doing it really well, right? Grant Cardone, Jeremy Miner, Alex Hermosi. I'm not going to say who
Do
I.
it. Say
So and looking to these people, and my latest the latest person that I've really taken a liking to is Ryan Serhant.
it. Mm.
I haven't
I'm
told you this.
surprised it took this long to get to Ryan on our circuit of personalities.
I am equally as surprised as you.
Yeah. He's an OG. He's not a new kid on the block by any means.
Okay, first of all, I know. Second
Okay.
of all, you would think that with the amount of reality TV stars that we feature on our celebrity panels, that I would maybe start watching some of the reality TV. Like I'll straight up tell Hannah Wright, who comes on tour with us, I'm like, I just want you to know, like I've never watched Love Island, but I love your outfit. So you would think that I would take a liking to, or that I would do my homework, but meanwhile
Sure.
I'm just way too busy diving into Jeremy Miner's NEPQ style questions. But all is to say that Ryan, first of all, I learned about Ryan through uh, a video that I saw on social media where he, it was pretty funny. Apparently, every time a client says no to him or he gets a rejection, he sends them an orchid.
Oh, why does he do that?
He does that and he apologizes and says, "I'm sorry for your loss."
That is so baller.
And I thought that was hilarious. And I thought to myself, my God, this guy must spend thousands of dollars on orchids. And then the
Hmm.
next thing that he said was that, no, sorry. And then I ended up watching a podcast with him on it, and he's on it's the Big Deal podcast, and he talks about being in the business of rejection.
Hmm.
And he says that every day wakes up and he needs to seek out rejection. And that by the 60th or 70th rejection, there's going to be a deal that's going to be made.
Totally.
And that really resonated with me because the amount of rejection that I got in my first 2 years.
Mhm.
I mean, if you come at me today with some of those objections, for example, or some of that rejection that I experienced early on, honey, I know how to handle that stuff. I know
Yeah,
how,
you do.
I mean, like going back to these awful leads that I had when I first started. I mean, I'll never forget. I was pitching one of our lowest tiers, okay, in the
Hmm.
ballroom, which is a cocktail table. And
Hmm.
it's $1,500 to be a part of an event that includes so much media, so many influencers, so many people,
Sure.
photography, video, like the visibility is unparalleled. She came back to me with 23 questions. But it was in those 23 questions that I learned every nook and cranny about a modern day wife event.
Hmm.
So later on, fast forward, if anybody comes to me with anything,
Right.
I typically have an answer for it,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
So in those preliminary, those beginning days of grinding it out, right? The
Right.
trudge, it's not for nothing. It's really not for nothing, because even those days where I felt like, okay, I'm getting nothing out of this,
Hmm.
it is, turned me into, okay, well, I know how to handle this. Yeah, okay, been
Sure.
there, done that, no problem. Yeah, and it's quick and it's handled.
Yeah.
So, um, so I think that answers your question. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's several nuggets out of there that I really appreciated. Um, I wanted to go to a question I had early on in some of the things that you were saying, and then I want to transition into really talking about your process. So before I go into that, for the entrepreneurs that are maybe like more keen on learning, right, what are those prospecting tips, the sales tips, etc. I want to take it back to one thing on those that are going into commission only sales or even just starting out as an entrepreneur, because really there's so much in common between those two things. For someone joining commission sales, a lot of times they get sold on this idea and this dream that they're going to make a lot of money, they're going to make a lot of money fast, and that's how a lot of organizations are able to recruit commission only salespeople, as they sell them the dream, right? You were talking about how you knew on the onset you weren't going to make a lot of money right off the rip. And the reason you stuck through it is because you felt a connection to this organization, to its mission, its purpose, etc. So, one thing I just want to highlight is I agree with you on the commission only side. It's never as good as they say it's going to be, but really it's unfortunately that misrepresentation, the expectation, that kills a lot of successful careers, because honestly, a lot of people make commission only sales work and go right. But if they go into it with the wrong estimation of effort or the wrong understanding of what it's going to take and they sign up for that, that is a recipe for failure. But if you're able to align your life and set things up where it's like, hey, I know I'm in this for a long haul. I'm not going to make money for the first 6 to 12 months, really. I just have to live very frugally below my means, but I see like the long-term success because I see who is successful, I like who's part of it and stuff like that. So I think that's very important to kind of like bounce back at you as something that you basically went through. But let's say I'm either an entrepreneur first starting out, I'm doing business development, I'm facing all this rejection, I'm getting to my 60 or 70 or 80 rejections and stuff like that. And in the beginning, it's awfully slow because you're not doing a lot of volume typically. And that's what you need to do, is you got to get to volume to just get through those no's as fast as possible. How does one know if they're in the right vehicle and that they actually are connected and aligned with what they're doing? How do they actually know if they're in the right thing so that way they can make that commitment?
That's a loaded question. I think, yeah, no, how do you know that you're in the right vehicle and you're doing the right thing? Is that you keep doing it even if you've sworn that this can't keep going. You can't live like this. You've gone through emotional roller coasters
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like every day is so challenging and you want to give up, but for some reason, every morning I wake up or you wake up and it's like you're just ready to seize the day and you just do the repetitive actions that you know will eventually produce. It's really hard to explain, you know, in words what my experience was like because it still doesn't make sense. This really, it's like a magnetic pull. I could not stay away. I was
Hmm.
not producing. Okay. I was not making a lot of money, but I woke up every single day and I kept at it and I
Hmm.
couldn't explain it. And, I do you have to be obsessive? Yes. Do you have to somewhat be addicted to the craft? Yes. Some people may call it addiction, other people may call it passion, right?
Hmm.
I like this whole idea of a magnetic pull because I can't really explain why it's there, but it's there. Something's pulling
I love
me.
it.
You
Just
know what
the
I mean?
sheer observation of what it is. You don't really have to go any further
Well,
than
my
that.
boyfriend doesn't understand why I can wake up on the weekends at, 5 or 6 a.m. Like this morning, I'll wake up before my alarm clock and I'm already thinking about the day ahead. And I'm already
Hmm.
thinking about, like what I need to do for myself,
Hmm.
which someone said this the other day and I thought it was brilliant. She's like, I have to take care of myself because it's like community service. She's like, in order for me to go out into the world and be the person that I need to be, like I need to go to Pilates and I need to, take care of myself and then I can, be a part of society.
Sure.
So I wake up in the morning, I do my community service, and then I get geared and ready for the day, and the day is modern day wife.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
I think what drives me is are the clients.
Mm.
It's I mean it, and this is not to put down my team or and ever there's so many reasons why I do what I do,
Hmm.
but the best part about all of this is my life will be happening. Okay, things will happen in my life. And all of a sudden, I'll have a client that I get on a call with, and this client is in a position to educate me, inform me, and create an experience that totally aligns with what's also happening in my life.
Hmm.
I was having some issues with the potentiality of a household with mold.
Mm.
And the following day, I spoke to a woman that specializes in mold remediation.
Well,
These
there you go.
things happen all the time. So, for one, okay. For
That's
two, I speak with the coolest people on the planet. The women that are part of our events, the men that are part of our events, we're seeing an increase in men, people that are active within the event space. These are people that are running businesses. These are people that are, pushing barriers. And most importantly, these are people that are really leading with impact. I
mm.
heard somebody talk about leading with impact and not ego the other day, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And I think that when I look at modern day wife, which by the way, completely bootstrapped, we haven't even dipped our toes into the funding space. We're actually starting to explore it.
Hmm.
We are the definition of leading with impact and not ego. So we
Right.
attract a lot of people that have that same ethos. And
Hmm.
what I see is it is a crazy world out there. But we need to maintain its beauty. And how do we do that? We do that through community and human connection, and really at modern day wife, that's what you'll find. So yes, in bulk, I speak to a lot of women.
Hmm.
I do also speak to a lot of men, and the people that I speak to are doing life. They're not talking about what they're going to do with their life. They're doing life. They're producing. They're pouring into society. They're pouring into the economy. And this is why I wake up every single day because they make me a better person. They make me contribute as well. And then of course along the way I'll meet people that are wild, you know. I love crazy people. I love crazy people. The
Busier people.
crazier the better. Okay? And I think that comes from my background in hospitality, and the insane demands that I used to get working in fine dining. I mean, I once had a woman who sent back mashed potatoes 7 times, and I find
Not
it.
steak, but mashed potatoes.
No, no, she needed it. She needed it to burn the roof of her mouth. That
Take
was
her into the kitchen.
no, 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 that is her preference. I
Okay.
find complex human beings so interesting, and I think that's why people who do sales love sales. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody, but nothing gets me more intrigued and excited than speaking to somebody and trying to get into their head. Because
Totally.
realistically, that's what we do, Alex. You know it. Like, we have to ask a client a number of questions because we have to disarm them. We have to get them to reveal what is going on for them so that we can meet their needs with a solution. But I can't provide a solution unless I get them so vulnerable and, a tad broken, and vulnerable enough
Yeah.
to divulge this kind of information. And it's in that, Megan and Chelsea and myself, we call it my deposition. It's in that deposition that I get those answers that I need so I can come in and I can show them this is what I can do for you, and this is how I can take your brand to the next level.
Absolutely. I had planned to talk about the deposition on this call, so there's some foreshadowing here.
Excellent.
But I do want to go a step prior because something that I am always in awe of is the number of sales calls that you're able to generate for yourself on a weekly basis. You're normally in like the 20s, right?
Yeah,
With
I have.
brand new people you've never spoken before, and you're doing that between Instagram, emails, cold traffic, some strategic partnerships, I'm sure. But you've really ramped it up to where it's a steady 20 as long as you keep the machine going. And I
Totally.
would love to talk about that.
Yeah, I have about, I mean, I'd show you my calendar, but she's wild. I think I have about 7 or 9 calls just today. I already did one before this. In a perfect world, we're doing 25 calls. In your perfect world, I'm doing 35 calls with my show up rate, Alex. Um, of course, there's going to be some weeks that aren't as performing as others because we do have events and I travel to all the events and I also MC the ballroom at the events. Um, and I have gotten into a space where, I definitely want to scale personally and I can't take on everything myself. I am my greatest bottleneck, as you may
This
say.
is true.
I said
You have
that
said
yesterday. I said that yesterday to one of my new VAs, and I was laughing by myself. She didn't get it.
she did not understand.
Get it, but
It is a truth and an inside joke at the
yeah, she
same
didn't get
time.
it. She didn't get it, but I was like, I told her, I said, it's okay. You don't need to get it because Alex gets it. What I said to her.
And she's
Now,
like, who's Alex?
so if I'm going to be as candid as I've been from since this call started, I know Jeremy Miner hates it when I say that. He doesn't. I don't know him, but I know that he hates it.
Right.
I
He
say
would
like,
cringe. He
if
would
we're
retch
being
right
completely
now.
honest right now, I outreach is probably my least favorite part of this job.
No way. I'm shook. Are
I'm
you kidding me?
I am going to be as polite as possible and say that I am not fond of it. Um, it is, it's, you're essentially going hunting, okay,
Hmm.
without a rifle. you're utilizing as many outlets as you can possibly imagine. So here at Modern Day Wife, we traditionally use Instagram as a great vehicle to getting calls with brands. Now, it has to be within a certain amount of following. Okay. You can't reach out to a brand that has over, I usually say over the 200K mark and expect to
Hmm.
get a response. They're either going to send you some form to fill out, or they're just going to give you the standard partnerships or PR at whicheverbrand.com.
Right.
And
And
usually,
Chelsea, what's the range of investment the sponsorships are that you're usually representing?
yeah, so our sponsorships start at $750 for a swag bag, which I typically don't even push. I just don't see the relevance of not being at the event and being in front of your ideal client and your ideal
Hmm.
customer. So I usually love to live at the brand activation mark. The starting package is 5K,
Hmm.
and they go onwards to, custom uh, corporate levels. But I would
Hmm.
say, just if I were to give you a range, 5K to 25K is been,
Sure.
a range that I work with quite often.
Right. And so when you're selecting these brands, obviously you're saying like you keep it under like a 200K following, but I'd
Yeah.
imagine for that size of investment, you also have a bottom that you're maybe looking for as you're targeting these people to reach out to,
As in a bottom of
either following or like, because I can just imagine for myself, if I'm going out there in the wild without a rifle on Instagram, like I wouldn't even know where to start. I wouldn't know how do I make sure I'm not wasting my time just like over analyzing or under analyzing who I'm going to reach out to, what I'm going to say. Like you've obviously gotten this down to a science.
I do. I do. So I'm just going to break it down as easily as possible. So
Sure.
first I have to look at our product, right? We do events. We are a lifestyle company. So I would have to categorize the types of brands that we seek out and the industries that they fall in. Okay. So what that looks like is beauty and wellness, fashion and lifestyle, business and entrepreneurship. So these are brands that I'm seeking and they're within these categories. Now I go ahead and I categorize that further. So within beauty and wellness, I have a list. So I have med spas, plastic surgeons, lymphatic drainage, red light therapy, cryotherapy, rest, anything like that. And I do that
Mhm.
for every category and I get as detailed as possible. Um, it's kind of like a brain dump.
Sure.
I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs who live by the brain dump. Some people, the brain is,
It sounds so funny,
it
but yeah,
sounds so bad.
you live for that dump.
Yeah, oh my God, yes, live for it. A lot of people are very attached to their electronic devices. Listen, I'm still an 80s baby. I like my post-its. I have post-its everywhere. I like notebooks, and I really feel that that's the greatest place for me to start creativity. And when I can harness that creative space is where I really get the best results because that's when I don't hear all the noise.
Hmm.
So when I sit with myself and I just go through like what I really feel is going to be successful and I put that on paper, then I go to my electronic devices, which is we're going to get into the other channels, but we started talking about the initial channel, which was Instagram, and then the other channel
Hmm.
will be email, and then the other channels are LinkedIn, and then of course, old school, picking up the phone, cold calls. But if we were to just look at,
Strategic partners too.
and yes, inward leads, strategic partners, referrals within the network. So if we're focusing on IG, there's so many ways that I do outreach. But if I were to just keep it as simple as possible, if I were to talk about, if I were to look at med spas, okay, what I'm looking for is, first of all, local med spas to the city that we're in. So right now we're producing an event in Los Angeles. It's near its completion, but I am looking at our next events already. And I've been looking at them for the last few weeks, which is Dallas and Scottsdale. So I'll start doing outreach to med spas that are local to the city that we're in. Med spas, I would not do outside of the city that we're in. It's very unlikely that Janet is going to Scottsdale to Arkansas to get Botox. It's just not happening. However, when it comes to plastic surgeons, people do travel far and wide because it is something that is specialized. So you could even reach out to a plastic surgeon in New York if you were to have an event in Los Angeles. So I do
Hmm.
like to get very clear on that. Now, as far as the brands go, you can definitely have more of an international approach rather than keeping it local. Local is definitely king. Okay, people travel if it's right in the backyard. They're also accounting their own travel expenses because we don't cover them. But brands that have, national presence, they're typically on the road. They have warehouses in different states, and they also have teams in different states. So you can just reach out to them. Now, when it comes to brands that have this national presence, I usually find that the brands that fall within the 10K to 20K following is usually the sweet spot. Don't ask me why, but best one of my best finds, and he was actually on your podcast,
Oh,
is Lumara Systems. So
that's right.
Lumara
Good
Systems,
old Bill
oh, we love Bill. I mean, not
Wiedemann.
they make an unbelievable red light therapy mask. I swear by it. A lot of people swear by it. I've literally taken my mask and I've given it to friends who have used it a handful of times and they're like, oh my God, this has made such a difference. When I
Wow.
found Bill on Instagram, he had 11K followers. And they were my first they were they were the biggest client I ever sold for Modern Day Wife.
I remember.
You were there and we had just started working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shows you followers is not indicative of what they will do with you necessarily.
Not necessarily, but at the end of the day, speaking to the right person is going to be extremely indicative of your success with getting the company, the brand to sign on. Because
Hmm.
think about it this way. When I'm dealing with PR companies or if I'm dealing with uh, influencer managers, love them, but they're not the final decision makers. So what's happening is I could be the best salesperson doing my deposition, doing my song and dance, but now I have to trust the person that I spoke to deliver that same song and dance and message to higher ups and, transfer that over. No offense. I cannot trust another person with my delivery.
Sure.
Nobody knows the product better than I do. Okay.
Hmm.
It's certainly not the PR manager who works for an external company who's relaying the information. Who's to say that maybe she has the day that she has to present that, she has a bad morning. I cannot trust that she's going to deliver the message like I do. So
Hmm.
finding the right person is the most important piece to this super large, complicated puzzle. If I can't get a hold of the CEO, because yes, it's gonna, for the most part, the CEO is too busy running the company. Okay.
Sure.
But I have to get to the person that is closest to the CEO's right ear.
Hmm.
Right. And that is going to forever be the quest that I need to perpetually and continuously go on. And that is, in large part why we do so much outreach and why a single company, I swear to God, I feel so bad for this laser company. I sent them 100 emails. I'm pretty sure their entire department has heard from me.
Wow.
Same thing with Kutera. Kutera, I think I sent them 50 emails. And what happened was is everyone from their department got my email, even the CEO, and then the CEO flagged the email to the team, and the team was like, "Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We oh, modern day wife, yeah, Chelsea Keller, sponsorship manager. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That event. So everybody was looped in, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it really what's happening is what's happening is relevance. Is like how can there's so many people, there's so many brands, there's so much of everything. What am I doing to grab somebody's attention?
Mm-hmm.
How am I staying relevant?
Mm-hmm.
And the game that we play in sales is volume. The more that I do, the more likely people are gonna get my email or they're
Right.
gonna get my outreach,
Right.
right? So that's why I think, we're always told that volume trumps all.
On the subject of volume, one thing that I see that entrepreneurs don't do very well is estimate how much actual outreach they need to do to generate conversations like the ones you're having. How much outreach would you say that you do a week?
Well, now you're being nice. Well, that's the thing, right? People want to come in and they don't know that an event takes 60,000 emails. A single event takes
To
60,
fill an event is 60,000 emails,
typically around 60,000
and
emails to
that's how
fill
many sponsors?
30 to 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So we're
I'm
talking about basically a factor of Jesus. Like what? What is that now?
I don't do that math, Alex.
That's more my area.
Here's my note for the people listening. I did not math, okay? I did not
2,000 to 1,
until Alex came
basically.
into my sphere. Um, so the estimation on outreach, it's as
Hmm.
simple as it's never enough.
So good. Now we go into the next question, which is okay, if I need to do an absurd amount of outreach, how do I do it?
Very good question. I've made a couple friends along the way. I was talking I was talking to one of my one of my friends that I've made along the way. His name is Manish, and he owns a an app called Relist. It's
Hmm.
really cool. You can list clothing, just like it's like Poshmark, for example. But
Sure.
what's really cool about it is that if you sell a piece from Aritzia, some of the profits go back into Aritzia. I think it's an incredible circular fashion.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, no, it's incredible. It's incredible. I think he's a genius, and he's from the financial space, and now he's obviously like in the tech space, and they just started the company. And I was talking to him the other day about outflow, and they're
Hmm.
they're in their funding right now, and they're looking for investors. And it's so nice to talk to somebody who knows how much outreach is required. It's
Hmm.
just so comforting when you have somebody
You
else.
understand my pain.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh, you're like, even when you were saying it the other day, it's like, oh, come take a seat in the trenches with me. It's warm and cozy here, and you'll never leave. He's like, yeah, he's like, I have my bulk emails going out every day. He's like, because that's at least a foundation and it's always going. So the same
Sure.
applies for me. So I have lists that I have purchased from way too many different platforms because I'm always switching things up.
Yeah.
Um, I was diving into clay. uh, Disclaimer, if you know nothing about AI, don't dive into clay. You're going to run through your credits and you're going to leave with a headache and you're going to question your very own existence. But It was very successful in the end. Don't ask me how. There's a lot of messing around and finding out along the way. Now I'm in lead magic, but multiple platforms, building lists, buying lists, right? Make sure you're expensing
Hmm.
that, folks. And then using a platform called Mail Meteor because literally a chimpanzee could use Mail Meteor, and that's really what I needed. I found it in the Google app space attached to my Gmail. And I was like, perfect. There can't be a glitch. It's from Google by Google, right? So linked it or added the extension to my email, and all I have to do is write a small email. It easily allows me to attach a follow up. I put together a subject line that hooks, right? I need something good. Right now, my hook is listen close, dot, dot, dot,
Oh,
what she said.
oh, what could this be?
What could you
It definitely perks up the ears.
well, that's what I'm saying. You know what my open rate is?
Yep.
100%.
What? 100% on an
Everyone's
email,
opening my
old
email.
email?
Everyone's booking a call, but
Sure.
my email is getting opened.
Hey.
And I'm uploading those lists and then it sends out those bulks. I have a 2,000 limit every 24 hours. So since you're my mathematician, you can do the guesstimation on that. So how many emails am I bulking, just bulking?
83.
2,000 in 24 hours per week.
Hmm.
What's that?
Oh, so you're doing, is that Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday?
So two
So
times,
you're
so
doing
10,000.
10,000. Yeah.
I'm doing 10,000 emails in bulk a week. Now, think of it. I'm getting people that are responding to those bulks. So
Hmm.
I'm sending additional emails there. Some of the gals send me emails because, like I said, once upon a time, I was dealing with 23 objections for a singular cocktail table. So
Hmm.
I am getting emails sent to me to assist with. So there's that.
Hmm.
I'm also getting emails and the email for the brand that responded in Instagram to contact said person about the event. So I'm doing singular emails with that. And then I'm also getting emails and I'm sending emails and receiving emails with my existing leads, people that are in my network, which I would call my CRM, so my client base, my personal client
Hmm.
base. So I don't know. I mean, I think I think if I'm sending 10,000 emails a week, we can add on maybe an additional 100 a day. So let's say I'm sending like 1,500 emails a week.
You mean not 1,500 emails a week. You're doing
Sorry,
10,000
15. Sorry.
plus
Yes, plus the
15K,
yes. Yes.
15,000 emails a week.
I can't do the math right now. If I'm
Or you're
doing
doing 100 per day on top of that, you're saying?
yeah, so I'm doing
That you're at
10,000
25.
plus so 10,500.
Yes.
Oh my God. 10,500 emails a
Because they're
week.
such
Like
staggering numbers you can't even
I
count anymore.
can't I'm lost in my own headspace. And then
Wow.
I'm doing about on I mean ideally
But
I'm
that's
doing
in
50,
addition to your calls that you're doing.
yes.
I mean, with the bulk, that's an amazing hack because you definitely are multiplying your time and leveraging the fact that you're having good open rates and responses back and forth. Like that alone is big, but you still use other channels too. So, Chelsea, I feel like we're getting into the grounds of a master class here, and I feel like this might require part two conversation if you would be so willing to part your wisdom with this audience.
Honestly, I would be honored to share more wisdom with you, and most importantly to, help anybody anywhere.
Sure.
Um, I one thing that I've learned on this journey so far is I love nothing more than spending time with my interns when I do have them. Uh, because again, Megan talks about consistency being something she admires the most in a human being, and I didn't realize how significant and true that is until I became a business owner myself.
Sure.
The amount of people that say they are going to do something and that they want to do something and then that don't follow through, it's immense.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody being persistent and consistent, it's so refreshing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I see that as such a huge skill today.
Hmm.
um, but most importantly, when I am with these interns and I am with these ladies and gentlemen that are newer and they want to learn, um, it really is a great feeling to help people and give away, what this life has given me thus far. This that
Absolutely.
that's kind of how I feel about this. So now I understand why people become mentors, and at the end of the day that we can only keep what we have by giving it away.
Sure.
So that I think
Yeah.
that's a great way to end things, should you
Sure.
want to.
Totally. Yeah. Well, I would say just from what you've had to share so far on like purpose and duty and relentlessness and just like the willingness to bet on yourself and continue to own your craft and research and try different things and stuff like that, and not viewing them as failures, but viewing them as experiments. And you have to do countless experiments to find the winning formula. And now you've gone from like this fledgling, fumbling about person that was just like willing to keep at it to you're slinging a minimum of 10.5K emails a week. And I, what is really cool, and I think just very special for the people listening, is that you you didn't have a background in this. You learned this through doing this and keeping at it. So I feel like it's something that anyone can approach and learn and do. But it will come down to those two things you mentioned, which is the persistence and the relentlessness. Third thing, the commitment, like actually following through with what you say you're going to do. So I'm excited for what the next episode will bring. Um, yeah, just great takeaways so far. And in the next episode we do, I'd love to unpack more about exactly good. You're creating these conversations, which is a no-brainer outcome from just the sheer volume of what you're doing. But how do you take these from strangers in an email to customers that you actually have long-term relationships with and continue to partner together down the road?
Well, that's when things start to get real good.
Well, then we'll just have to wait until that episode. But thank you for sharing all of your insights.
Yes, I am 8 minutes late for a call.
I'm so glad we have that on recording. I'll let you apologize profusely.
Oh, I will.
We're gonna continue this in another episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you for having me.